It is fantastic. This is actually Malbim's first work, if you recall. The first piece he did on Tanakh was Megillas Esther. It was he wrote it in 1845. Fantastic. And if you want to get an idea of classic Malbim, it is exactly what we're going to do tonight. So I'm so excited to give it over to you. Okay, so hold on tight because we are going to go for a great ride here. Okay. The amazing thing is that Malbim is going to set the stage for us in a way that the Megillah, which is something that, oh yeah, we know the story, we know the story, we know the story, becomes so much more than what we really know the story of. So, and watch how he really just takes it all from the actual text. That's the coolest part about it. So hopefully, and remind me if I forget, we're going to try to kind of put everything back into the pasuk at the end so we can sort of see how Malbim got where he got based on the words of the pasuk. That's exactly how Malbim operates. Okay, so let's start off with the psukim. We're going to start from the very first parak, pasuk aleph. Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh. This is again Megillas Esther. If you're following in the English, by the way, this is it's not a literal translation, but it is the Malbim Esther written by Rabbi Taub. And again, like I said, it's not a word-for-word translation as our other text was by Rabbi Fire, but it does cover. It does definitely do a fantastic job of covering everything the Malbim discusses. And the other thing is, if you keep in mind that if you are following in the English, he breaks it down pasuk by pasuk. I'm going to kind of read. I'm going to read the psukim that how Malbim breaks it down. Meaning he kind of asks the questions. Malbim groups together, if you recall from Chump learning, the other pieces of Malbim that we've done, Malbim groups together psukim, asks questions on them, and then addresses all the answers to each question. Rabbi Taub, how he did it was he broke it down by pasuk. So each pasuk has its own separate question. So that's why if you're getting confused and following the text, just keep in mind that you might have to flip ahead to pasuk beis when we're still on pasuk, to see the questions that he translates. Okay, so pasuk aleph. Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh, and if you're looking at the sheet that I've put together, I actually put together on the top to name this shir Achashverosh, who was Achashverosh, and the actual pasuk of the actual pasuk is Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh, who Achashverosh. So I wrote who was Achashverosh, and that's what we're going to see today. Who was he? Okay, so. And this is the ArtScroll translation on the sheet that I've put together. So, Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh, hu Achashverosh hamolech mehodu v'yad kush, sheva ve'esrim u'mea medina. And it came to pass in the days of Achashverosh, he is the Achashverosh who reigned from Hodu to Kush, 127 provinces. Pasuk beis, Bayamim ahem kesheves hamelech Achashverosh al kisei malchuso asher b'Shushan habira. In those days, when King Achashverosh sat on his royal throne, which was in the capital of Shushan, or city, the Shushan, the capital. Okay, the questions. Skipping down to Malbim now. Again, if you're in English, it works a little differently than the Hebrew. So, Hashailos, the questions. Kol makom shamar vayhi b'mei, v'alasaper inyan zulati, bilti noda shaya b'mei ish hanodam uforsam. Whenever the words vayhi b'mei, and it was in the days of, it's coming to tell you about a certain era, a certain time frame, something that happened in a certain point in time, and it uses like a certain well-known character or figure to give you the idea of the time. And it was during the time of, John F. Kennedy, or whatever it is. It gives you an idea of, oh, okay, that sets the stage for us. Typically, that's how Vayhi b'mei operates. It sets the stage for us. It gives us a time frame. Kemo Vayhi b'mei shofet hashoftim Vayhi rav, as in, and this is a pasuk, an example that he gives from Megillas Rus, which means, and it was in the days of the judges, and there was a famine. And the judges were judging, and there was a famine. And the like. But it's not coming to tell you about this specific person that it's describing, right? If I'm telling, again, to use my example, and what happened during the time of John F. Kennedy, that there was, whatever else we'll talk about economically, right? We're not talking about JFK per se, but we're talking about that whole era and what happened in an economic situation. So it's so similar here. I actually just realized I'm in Canada. I'm giving John F. Kennedy as an example.
We get it.
Anyway, so right,
Trudeau,
exactly. So I'm sure you've heard of him. I know you've heard of him, but I'm just saying I should have given something more appropriate here. But anyway, so it's not telling you about this person exactly, but it's telling you about a certain era in time. So why is it telling us here in the days of Achashverosh that he was Achashverosh? Mashakasuv hu Achashverosh miyutar. Seems to say that hu Achashverosh, he was Achashverosh, is very superfluous. It was in the days of Achashverosh, he was Achashverosh. Okay, got it. Now what? Kilonoda es mirotze lishlol. It doesn't come, it's not, meaning who Achashverosh to the exclusion of who? We're talking about Achashverosh to the exclusion of somebody else maybe? No, we're talking about Achashverosh. So it doesn't tell you who, meaning the words who Achashverosh, he was Achashverosh, it doesn't seem to exclude anybody else, so it seems very superfluous to have these extra words. Gam b'chol Megillah karu b'toar hamelech Achashverosh, zulas po levad karu Achashverosh stam. And the rest of the Megillah, it gives him a title. He is King Achashverosh, whereas in this pasuk and this pasuk only, he is only called Achashverosh without any title, without king. Shemavur shemedaber me'is shalom melech adayin. It seems to indicate that it's talking about a time that he was not yet king. Mashakasu hamolech. But however, when it writes the very next word, which is hamolech, who ruled, mashma shemedaber al havayas memshalto v'hayalo lechto v'asher malach. It seems to imply that he was currently a king, and it's used because it's written down in present tense, and then therefore maybe also it would be more appropriate to say, if we're speaking about him in the past, asher malach, who ruled from a certain period of time. But it's very it seems to imply that he was Achashverosh without any titles, but Hamolech, who ruled. So what are we talking about? If he was currently ruler, then call him King Achashverosh, and if he wasn't, then don't say he ruled. Make sense? Understand the question? Bayamim hahem. This is again in Pasuk Beis now. In those days, miyutar. It seems also redundant, superfluous. Shehalo kvar amar vayhi bimei. Didn't we already open up with the title vayhi bimei? And it was in those days. It was in the days of Achashverosh. Gam hamelech Achashverosh miyutar. And also, again looking back in the Pasuk, bayamim hahem kashevet hamelech Achashverosh. To say that hamelech Achashverosh, again here it seems very again redundant. Shekvarnis kar Pasuk hakodem. We already said in the very first Pasuk, veheve le lameimar v'haya keshevto. So just say, okay, and it was when he was sitting on the throne. Don't again repeat his name, that King Achashverosh was sitting on the throne. We already have a person here. We got it. It's King Achashverosh sitting on the throne. Lots of extra titles here. Gam guf hasipur sheyeshiv al kisei malchuso v'shaya b'shushan le'ein sorech. And also it seems from the body of the story, the body of the text, he was sitting on his throne, his royal throne, and it was in Shushan, but it doesn't really seem to need to say that here. We're getting the type. It's gonna flesh itself out. Why do we have all these extra descriptions here? B'Shushan Labira. Okay. Leve'er parsha hazos tzarich ani lahagdim hagdamas achas. I need to, before I can get into the addressing these questions, I want to give you an introduction. And he's going to set a stage for us as to what exactly kingdoms were like during those days. Hine hamlechas hamelech b'yamim hakadmonim b'memshalos hamitriim hakoshtiim v'hapersayim v'hamadiyim haisa alachas mishtei drachim. In those days, back in the time of monarchies, when I'm talking about the rulerships of the Egyptians, the Cushites, the Persians, and the Medes, their kingdoms were established in one of two ways. Aleph, the first one, Hamolech al yedei bechiras ha'am shehiskimu al ish echad lahamlicho alehem. It was through the decision of the general population. They decided that this was the next person who should be, or the person who should be king, and he was elected, so to speak. Beis, Hamolech biyad chazaka shekivesh medina umalach alehem ba'al korcham kemo shekasuv al Nimrod. A second way that a person could become king is that he conquers the land, and he then appoints himself ruler against the people's desires, such as Nimrod. Nimrod was such a person. I think interesting from his very name, Nimrod merida means to rebel. He went against the nation, and he appointed him a self-appointment. Umizeh amdo az shnei minei mamlachus. And from here, there are also two different kinds of kingdoms, kingships, that can be established. Aleph, mamlacha mugbelech. The first one is a limited monarchy. V'hu shemeshareis hamelech al ha'am haisa lagavul yadua. And the first one is that the king himself is appointed by the nation, and there are rules that were put into effect at the time of his being appointed. V'zehaya larov v'melech. And this is how most kings are appointed. The nation decides, the people decide this is going to be our ruler, they appoint him, and he serves as king over them. And at the time when they actually choose him and they put him into office, so to speak, that they delineate the limitations and the rules or the practices that are going to identify or sort of be reticent of what his rulership is going to be like. He is given a certain framework within which he's allowed to rule. He himself has rules. V'al pi harov melech kazeh nishba be'es malchuso l'shmor hanimusim v'hadatzos asher b'medina. And according to this type of rulership, this type of kingdom, the king is also bound by the laws and the practices of the land. He can't do something, crazy and decide to, just do whatever he wants, right? There's a certain kind of democracy that's in place. Beis, mamlacha bilti mubeles, without boundaries, literally, right? It's a kingdom without boundaries, an unlimited monarchy. V'hu shehamelech haya lo reshus la'asos kechefzo, v'ach lefamim she'al batzas tzarei ha'etza. And that's the king can do whatever on earth he wants. From time to time, he can ask his advisors for any type of advice that he might want, but it's up to him. It's all what he wants. V'gam yachol lishnos dasos b'chukei ha'medina v'lachkuk chukim acherim tachteihem. And he can even decide to uproot some of the rules and laws that are in place in that current province or state, and he can instate other rules and other laws. In regards in the fact that he is, in the sense that he is the king and he is the legislator in and of himself. He can do whatever on earth he'd like to. And there's two distinctions between these two different types of kingships. Between these two types of kingship, there are 5 differences. Aleph, a king who is of limited monarchy, the king guards over the nation, the province, and he is the head of the state, of the province, of the kingdom, and he is in charge of their rules, and he fights their wars. That's the interesting part here. And they are subservient to him for necessary needs, in terms of what is for the best of the people, the welfare of the people, such as taxes and things like that. So they are subservient to him to a certain degree. They pay taxes to him. Certainly if he legislates a law, it's considered, and certainly he does have rulership properties, such as any person we could probably picture today in the place of leadership. But for the most part, he still serves, he's there to serve the people. He leads them in battle, he does the legislative things, collects the taxes, but the people, it's still about the people. But a king without boundaries, and he sort of takes rulership by his own right, like Sennacherib and Nebuchadnezzar. Hamadina haisa meshuberes elav. It's not about the people, it's about me. It's about the king. So the king says, no, you're all my servants and my slaves. And they are all considered to be his slaves. He can do with them as he pleases. And it's as if somebody it's like a master over some type of property. They become his properties. Beis. Second distinction. So the first one again was about, it's sort of like, who are you serving? Yourself, or are you serving the people? It's about the people, or it's about my leadership? Okay? Second one. Hamolech mamlacha mukbeles. A king that is of limits, a limited monarchy. Ha'otzaros beginzei hamalchus hayu shayachim el hamadina. The national treasuries of the kingdom are for the purposes of serving the nation, right? They're for the people. But similar to Paro Nebuchadnezzar, a king without boundaries, it's all his money. This is all my treasuries, and I can do with them as I please. Gimel. A king in a limited monarchy can't do whatever he wants, because there are certain advisors and officials that are in charge of making sure that things that happen kind of go through another filter, right? I'm not sure how this government works just yet, but I know that in America, right, there's all kinds of legislative bodies in place so that, the president will make a decision, but then there's, the House of Representatives, there's the Senate, there's all kinds of, back and forth between checks and balances, right, before it actually reaches the people.
A little bit like constitutional monarchy of Britain.
You
have a monarchy, and you have
right.
Monarchy in Britain very limited, but it was probably a time when it was less limited.
When it was less limited. I'm sure it was.
Still was a House of Lords.
Mm-hmm. Right, that there's still other bodies that sort of monitor what's coming in and out. There's a filter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. ובמלאכה הבלתי מוגבלת היה יכול לתקין בהרוס הכל לבדו בלי נטילת עצה בראש כלל. But again, kind of as we're giving opposites here, a king without limits, or a kingdom without limits, he can establish or fix, he can destroy any type of legislation that he'd like to without asking for permission from any of the legislative bodies. ד' שהראשון היה נתון תחת דתי המדינה ולא היה אפשר לו לעבור על דתות הקבועים. In the first case, by a king with a limited monarchy, he is bound by the laws of the land, and he's not able to overcome or go out of those boundaries. But the second situation, the king without limits, he is the legislator. And he can change whatever legislation, whatever laws he'd like to. It's all in his power. This is the fifth one. I don't know if you can already feel where this is going, but the fifth situation is that he comes into an established capital city, and it is not up to him to decide where that capital will be placed. It's already an established city, right? Again, not knowing very much about Canadian politics just yet, or government, I know that in America, right, the next president can't just decide, you know what, we're going to move the White House to San Francisco. No. The White House is in Washington, D.C., and that's where it is. And if he would just make such a decision, he'd probably get, shut down. It wouldn't happen that way. But, so a limited monarchy, he can't decide to just move the capital city wherever he pleases. He's taking the throne, so to speak, in limited monarchy, so he sits wherever his predecessors sat, right? The previous king sat in this seat, in this kingdom, so his, of course, will be in the same situation. Right? But as we're seeing from an unlimited monarchy, he can change it to wherever he'd like to. It's up to him to do whatever he pleases. So now with these 5 introductory remarks, understanding the differences, first of all, between how a person can become king, how rulers can take place, the different types of monarchy, and the distinctions between those different types of monarchy, he's saying now we can understand a little bit more about what's going on in these psukim, in terms of the days of Achashverosh. It's fascinating. Hang on. Okay. Alright, where am I at? Okay. Where? I really lost my place here. Alright. Al pi הקדמה הזאת נבוא אל הביאור. הנה אחשוורוש כפי קבלת חכמינו היתחיל להדיו. Chazal bring down, this is a Gemara in Megillah, that in the beginning, Achashverosh was a commoner. ואחר כך על ידי אשורו, מלך על מדי ופרס ונתחזק במלכותו. But afterwards, later on in his life, because of his immense wealth, he became ruler over Persia and Media, and his kingdom was strengthened until with a very strong hand he was able to overcome and conquer 127 provinces. And in the beginning, all of these territories really belonged under the kingdom, they were ruled by the kingdom of Babylon, of Bavel. And until this point, the throne of the king was established in Bavel, in the city of Bavel. And he brings a pasuk to prove it from Daniel. It's a pasuk, it's chapter 4:26. It's sourced in your English over there, which was very helpful for me. It means that he was walking in the palace of the kingdom in Bavel. It doesn't say anything about walking in a capital city of Shushan. It says about walking in a capital city of Bavel, nothing about Shushan. Kemosha Kasu. Hayiti b'Shushan asher ba'elam hamadina. And this is another pasuk from Daniel, and he says, I was in Shushan, which is in Elam, the capital. Now, it doesn't say that Shushan was the capital. It says Shushan was in a city where Elam was the capital. So, interesting, he picks up that we never see that Shushan was a capital city anywhere, only here, by Achashverosh's time. He's saying, we don't see this as a city where there was a kingdom established. At the time when he was conquering all of his kingdom, he was gathering all the lands that would be of his kingdom, in order that the kingdom should be established in his hands. He took Vashti. She was of a descendant of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was a king in his own right, and she became his king, his wife. She was actually an heiress to the throne. She was from the children of Nebuchadnezzar. Umitzidah haya malchus magia lo gam birusha. And so by taking Vashti, he had a right to the throne, and in terms of an inheritance point also, he almost was an heir to the throne as well, through Vashti. Al pi zeh haya malchus nachon biado. Did I just read that part? I did. So therefore
he can be an heir to the throne.
Well, he married someone who was an heir to the throne, so it was coming to him from the perspective, if you recall, so we talked about the two different ways a person could become king. So it was kind of owed to him because he conquered it. But then by marrying someone who was also an heiress to the throne, he really established his own right to the kingship. Not only did I conquer it, and I with my own sweat and blood and my own wealth, did I take over the land, but I also married Vashti, who was the granddaughter of Nebuchadnezzar. I think he was the granddaughter, right? And so she was also an heiress to the throne in her own right.
So a country could switch off between limited and unlimited monarchies?
No, seems like not. Especially because, it's a good question, especially because we're going to see Achashverosh's entire plot throughout this entire story is unlimited power. He wants it to be unlimited, and until now it's been limited monarchy. But he does give examples that Nebuchadnezzar and Nimrod had unlimited power as well. I don't think that it was up to the person to just be able to switch back and forth. You really have to see almost the Megillah in its entirety, but you'll see that throughout the Megillah, Achashverosh does a lot of things to try to even when he gives Haman the keys, so to speak, right? Essentially, what he's trying to do is, it's a little bit of a roundabout way. It's just difficult to give it over without actually taking you through the text of the Malbim and proving you through the psukim. But even by giving over the keys, the signet ring, to Haman, he actually is in some regard trying to establish for himself unlimited monarchy. I can decide who and where I'm going to give the absolute leadership to, and that also is a sign of unlimited monarchy on his part. If I can just give over the signet ring like that, that means I have the power to do that. No one else does. So it was exercising his own unlimited monarchy in order to do that. Switching back and forth, I think, is interesting. I don't know that people could do that. It's a good question. But certainly Achashverosh is trying to.
But does that mean that Vashti had unlimited power
She was
before?
an heiress. She was not yet a queen, I don't think, on her own account until she was...
Usually it's a very dangerous place to be. Usually to be heiress to the throne without power. She had a blood connection, but she didn't. Usually these people get killed just in case to make sure nobody gets.
And you'll see as we actually work through this piece.
She needed Achashverosh too because he had power. She had the title.
And you're going to see also, this is a good point too, Malbim's going to pull out for us that even later on, I hope we get into this, and I might skip the last part of what I prepared for this sheet, because I want to get to Vashti, which is just fascinating what happens there. Essentially, there's the power struggle between the two of them. Vashti saying that she has her own right to the throne, and Achashverosh saying, no, it's all because of me. You would be nothing without me. I conquered all the lands of Babel. I took them over. You were a captive. You were a captive from war. I could have done with you whatever I wanted, and I married you and made you a queen. So essentially she's right that these people she was a prisoner of war, so to speak, and she could have become anything. And she's insisting that she was an heiress in her own right, which she was, but without Achashverosh she probably would have lost it. She probably would have been killed, right? I mean, it's a good point. Very good point. It's a good question. Okay, so he says, it secured the kingship even more in his hands. And so here's where Achashverosh puts himself into a pickle. He says, from the perspective of the fact that I conquered all these lands, I'm entitled to be an unlimited ruler. I can rule with unlimited power. But from the perspective that I married Vashti, who was, so to speak, an heiress to the throne, that implies limited power, right? Because if the kingship is falling in the hands of the next of the next heir to the throne, right? There are certain rules and laws and regulations by which that they're bound to as the next ruler. So he's saying, from the one perspective, he's entitled to unlimited power, but from the other perspective, having married Vashti, which is in some ways his claim to the throne in general, it puts him in a little bit of a pickle, because now he's bound by limited power. ויען שבתחילת מלכוסו נפתו המדינות לקבל עול מלכוסו ולכבש תחתיו בחשבם שהמלכוס מגיע לו בירושה על ידי Vashti. And in the beginning, the beginning of his kingdom, the provinces acceded to his becoming king and to his conquering the other lands, because I guess according to them they felt that it was sort of coming to him because he had married Vashti, and so it was also part of his inheritance as marrying Vashti. So again, how do you even take over? How does a person even take over so many lands? Well, a lot of the provinces that saw, well, if you're taking over, from the reins from this regard, then you're right. This is your kingdom, and you're right. Take it and do with it as you need to. So from that perspective, it also did secure him in that regard by marrying Vashti, because then it was like, oh yeah, okay. It almost let him take over more provinces because it made sense that he'd be the king, having married Vashti. And so again, this, as we said, established him from a limited monarchy. But he wanted to rule over them with his whole aim throughout everything that we're going to see, is he was trying to establish himself as an unlimited ruler, an unlimited monarch. And this was the very foundation of the plot and scheme to move the capital city to Shushan. It's exactly also what fueled the desire to make this huge party that we're going to see what happens next, and in him commanding to have Vashti brought before him. These were all strategies, deep, profound strategies, with the sole function and purpose, which was to achieve absolute domination over all the people. And that's why, as we just described, that's why the pasuk has to, the Megillah has to open for us and preface for us what happened in the days of Achashverosh. He was Achashverosh who ruled. Because it means to tell us that it was Achashverosh, not from the seat of kingdom on his own right. He didn't have the kingship coming to him because he was a king. He was a commoner. וגם לא עלה על מלכוסו בהדרגה עד שתחילה יהיה מלך על מדינה אחת, עד שישכח שהיה הדיוט תחילה, ואחר כך יסגבר לאט לאט. And also it doesn't tell us that he gradually, his kingdom, so to speak, gradually grew and grew, to the point that it would have been possible for people to forget his commoner status. Rather, it happened slowly, right? No, I'm sorry. In the beginning it was quick, right, until he ruled over it quickly. Rather, that it was in the days of Achashverosh, at the days when he was still considered Achashverosh the commoner, and those days in them himself, Achashverosh, he was the one who ruled from Hod to Kush. It was like they didn't even realize he was this commoner person, and all of a sudden he had just tremendous power, tremendous following, I don't know if I should say, tremendous wealth, tremendous power, and all of a sudden he just took over all these lands. They didn't even, to the point that again, not to say that it happened slowly so that it was possible for them to forget the fact that he was a commoner, but they realized this commoner is really he's really taking over everything very quickly. And also during those days he became king over 127 provinces. And there wasn't so much time in between him being the commoner to him being this king over this entire all these lands. Rather, all of a sudden it seemed this commoner, this random person, just became king and ruler over all of these nations. So if you look back at the pasuk and you can plug it back in for yourself, and it happened in the days of Achashverosh. Who Achashverosh? He was just this commoner Achashverosh. Hamolech mehodu v'ad Kush. What? He's ruling now over 127 from Hod to Kush. Shev of Esther Medina, 127 provinces. It was like, whoa, how did that happen? That's literally how you read the first pasuk. Bayimim ahem. So the second pasuk. Atam esaper eich tikef bereshis malchuso hischaze kolkach ad sharev libo lishnos kisei malchus shayara tabu bavavel v'hoshivo b'shushan. And now we're going to say, and it happened in those days, right? We're going to describe now how in the beginning of his kingship, of strengthening his kingship, he had this audacity, so to speak, to change the kingdom, the seat of kingdom, that capital city, which was in Bavel, and now bring it to Shushan. V'sameh Shushan lebira v'ir melucha, and he makes Shushan into the capital city and the city of his kingdom. Uvazehara, and it showed two things on the part of Achashverosh. Aleph, תקופו שחשב תקף למלוך ממלכה בלתי מוגבלת, עד שלא פחד מבני מלכותו שמרדו עליו במה ששינה כיסא המלכות. It showed his force, that he insisted on having this unlimited monarchy, to the point that he wasn't even afraid of moving the capital city to wherever he pleased, to Shushan. So it showed again the force of his power, and the audacity he had to really use the power to whatever he desired. I'm going to move the capital city. It was only that again, Bishnas Shalosh Malcho. I'm sorry. That's when he, before even the second year. The second pasuk is Bayim Mahim. Immediately he moves the capital city, meaning in those same days when he was still Achashverosh, he was still becoming Achashverosh's commoner. That's when he moved the capital city to Shushan, meaning as establishing his kingdom. He said, you know what, I'm going to be an absolute ruler, and in trying to accomplish that, and one of the first things he does during those days when he still seemed to be this commoner person, he moves the capital city. Do you have a question?
I just wondered, are we going to find out why Shushan? Like, what's the...
He doesn't really go into so much as to why Shushan. It's a good question. It seems to be that of Persia, it was, I guess, a big city in Persia. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem to say, like, why...
The Midrash, specifically,
go ahead.
A few days ago,
Sure.
I don't know. It says that it was a copy of the throne, this famous throne which came from the...
Oh, from Achashverosh?
The Achashverosh throne was built in Shushan because there were clever artisans there, and they built a very serious, very big throne, which was a copy of the famous throne, which has a lion who maimed previous kings. It was, I think it was a...
Oh, interesting.
It just, that's where that was, in Shushan.
And they built it in Shushan, didn't realize it was too big to move.
Oh.
They moved the capital because he blew it.
I think that's another thing that you're going to see.
His power was like, you know.
He's an incredible military mind. I mean, to have conquered so much and have, so quickly to the point where people were like, whoa, he just came out of nowhere, right? Yeah. And I think some of us can probably think of other people in the past who've done similar things, right? Where all of a sudden they were just commoner people, and now they're leading, huge nations. And unfortunately, we can think of. I just thought of one, just now. Think about Hitler, right? How fast he rose to power, and how quickly he turns everybody to doing whatever he wanted. So part of what you're going to see, though, is that Achashverosh in some ways just wants to exercise his unlimited power and doesn't really necessarily care how. So I don't know if there was. It doesn't have to even be that incredible a place. It was just like, you know what? As a sign of my absolute power, I'm going to move it to wherever I. You know what, Shushan. I don't know if there was that much thought into which city. It was the thought of, I want to prove to everybody that I can do whatever I'd like. I'm that powerful. So that was, as we're seeing more and more Achashverosh, I think this is an incredible look at who Achashverosh really was. Because we don't really know that much about him, keeping in mind that this was written during the days of Achashverosh actually, and he was actually looking at this text. So you have to realize also that how careful they had to be in the wording of the text, and how amazing it is that that Malbim and such commentaries are able to extrapolate this themselves.
And he was already married to Vashti before while he was still in the process of conquering and moving. He was already
married to Vashti. Yeah, it does seem that so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was the first thing it showed, his incredible power, and the second one is, the first one was, I guess, his audacity, so to speak. He wasn't even afraid of moving the capital. And Beis iskadlu v'gavaso, his power and his haughtiness. Because here, look at this commoner who becomes king. Isn't it usually an honor for the next king to sit in the throne of all of his predecessors? That's part of the honor of the king. Establishing a new throne for a king actually in some ways takes away from the honor, detracts from the honor of a typical monarch, again because part of the whole the strength of the monarchy is that it does go in, right, exactly, it does follow a chain, a link. But he was so arrogant and so haughty that he founded his own throne. And he also changed the capital city, the city of where his kingdom would be established, and he moved it to Shushan. And these things showed that it was that their appointment and their desire sorry, what was I just saying? I'm sorry, right. And it showed that it wasn't, he didn't do these things because he was appointed, and it was with the desire and the agreement of the people of the nation. Rather, he inherited them, he ruled them by his sword and his arrow, so to speak, his conquest. His conquest was what earned him all this kingship. And by this, so to speak, they were all sort of humbled. They were brought down. They were made lower under Shushan, which is in Persia, the city that would be his capital. And adding on to this, to show the force for which all this took place, that it was that he took control of the kingdom in many days. It wasn't a gradual process by which he said, you know what, like a few years later, let me move the capital city. It was in those days. It was as if he already sat on. He already sat on the throne of Achashverosh. Meaning, Kashevat HaMelech Achashverosh, he made himself king so quickly. He moved the capital city so quickly. It was as if he was part of a royal pedigree, but yet he established his own throne, his kingdom, which was due to him, without honoring any of his predecessors, right? The kings that came before him. So again, looking back at the pasuk and plugging it back in for us, we talked about V'hibam Achashverosh was during the days of Achashverosh. He was this commoner Achashverosh. In those days when he was still like, the Blitzkrieg, so to speak, coming to power, to use the term, forgive me, that he was sitting on his kingship, his kingdom, when the king Achashverosh was sitting on his throne, the throne that he self-made, Malchuso, his own kingdom, Asher b'Shushan Habira, he very quickly moved and has reestablished the capital city in his kingdom in the city of Shushan. Again, to show his power. Okay. Gimel. Let's see. Let's try to get through a little bit more. We're definitely not going to touch on Vashti today. I really wanted to, but okay, we will. So Shiloh. Let's read the psukim first. Okay. Pasuk Gimel. Bishnat shalosh l'malcho asa mishshel l'chol sarav va'avadav chel paras umadai hapartimim v'sarei hamedinos l'fanav. Again, the English translation here. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast for all his officials and his servants, the army of Persia and Media, the nobles and officials of the provinces being present. Pasuk Daled, Behar oso es osher kavod malchuso, v'es yikar tiferes gedulaso, yamim rabim shmonim umeas yom. When he displayed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his splendorous majesty for many days, 180 days. Is that how many more pasukim does he cover? One more. Pasuk Hey. Uvimlos hayamim ha'ele asa hamelech lechol ha'am ha'nimtzaim b'shushan habira, v'lemigadol v'yad katan mishteh shivas yamim b'chatzar ginas bisan hamelech. So the 5th pasuk, and when these days were fulfilled, the king made a 7-day feast for all the people who were present in Shushan the capital, great and small alike, in the courtyard of the garden of the king's palace. Okay, the questions. We don't really know why he made this party. So even more so, why does the Megillah go into such detail as to what happened at this party? And the order in which the officials are named is very strange, because first it mentions sarim va'avadim, officers and servants, slaves, almost, if you'd like to look at it that way, v'chel tzava, and soldiers, and then it mentions the governors and the high officers. Seems very out of order. Certainly the governors and the high officers, the high officials would precede the slaves and the servants. Gamilas lefanav miyutar. It also seems the word lefanav is very extra. The word in the pasuk being Besari Medinos lefanav, and his officers in front of him, before him. Okay. Gam mashakasuv po lemalcho v'gabe lekichas Esther amar lemalchuso. Also it says in the where is it? Bishnas Shalosh Lemalcho, in the third year of his reign. Interesting that he also compares that with talking about when he took Esther, and it says Lemalchuso, to his kingdom, as opposed to his reign. Leiza Tzorach Hara es Ashuru Lefnei Rabim Amim. What was the purpose of showing all of his wealth in front of so many nations? So why does it also add on all this, all these descriptions about the splendor of his majesty and the glory? Also to say that it was many days seems extra. Again, because right after we have the specific days of 180 days. Many days, 180 days. Why many days also? Just 180 days. Why also say there were many days? I'm sorry, I skipped. What was the purpose of the second party that he makes? There's a 7-day party also. So there's the first party, 2 parties. The first party is for the slaves and the servants and the high officials, 180 days. And the second party is as a 7-day party for, it seems to be, just the people of Shushan. It says specifically the people who were found in Shushan. People who were found also seems a little bit superfluous. What do we mean? Who found? The people in Shushan. The poem usually it says from small to great, right, in order to equate the small with the great. But here it says from great to small, seemingly to equate great or big with small. Why does it tell us that it happened on the king's garden? And also, again, we have all these descriptions in the next few psukim about the marble and the fine wool and all these descriptions. What are they all necessary for? Okay, let's see if we can get through this part. This is great. Okay, so it starts off with Bishnas. In the third year of his reign, in order to actualize his desire and his plan, his scheme, to establish for himself an unlimited monarchy, he finally got it all together in that third year of his reign. He got smart. This was the kingdom, so to speak, that he wanted to rule over with a strong hand, and so therefore it says limalcho, right? Meaning in the third year of his reign. I'm trying to establish my own reign, and so in the third year of his reign, of plotting over and over again, how am I going to become this unlimited monarch? Oh, about my monarchy, in the third year he got smart about it. He made a party in order to establish at this feast the plot that he had been scheming. And his underlying purpose is very clear here by the order in which he names the officials and the people that are invited to this party. Because first it says he invites his servants, essentially, right? His officers and servants and his soldiers of Paras and Madai, Persia and Media. But only afterwards does it mention the higher up officials, the governors and the officers, the high officers and the officials and the like who served before him. Meaning to say, the Sarei HaMedinos, the governors and the high officials, were actually people who had some type of a leadership position before he became king, right? It's like, the next president comes in. It doesn't mean that everybody else changes shift. Everybody, they're governors and all kind of legislators that are already there from before the next ruler steps into place. So the same thing with Achashverosh. These are people that already had a position of leadership before Achashverosh became king. But he was trying to show that these people weren't so very important. He basically wanted to bring all of these officials down a very large notch and to put them in their place and say, you essentially operate underneath me. And therefore, I don't look at you as being any greater than any of my servants. If anything, you're less than all my servants because they're here to serve me. And you were here before I was here, and your purpose wasn't to serve me. So therefore, not only are you equated with them, but you're actually less than them because they were appointed for my purposes. And you, who had some kind of leadership position before I was king, I'm going to put you in your place, that you're really nothing, right? Basically, he was trying to he was essentially putting them in their places.
The closer they are to him, more power they have.
Exactly. But even then,
there's more power than some kind of official.
But even then, it was to show them he's more not power. You're more important to me because I appointed you. You, who I didn't appoint, you have no power and you're unimportant to me. You're all equal in my eyes because I rule over all of you. But the people who are here to serve me are more important to me than the people who aren't. And that's basically what he was trying to say. Go ahead.
But how would they know? Because this was written after that they were put second.
So this was written much after, because this is written as to capture all the events that had transpired. And in doing so, again, they have to be very careful to depict exactly what happened. Ahasuerus had this plot that he was working towards this entire time, and Mordecai and Esther, who wrote this down later on, saw what was going on and saw how he was trying to equate one with the other to the point that he wanted there to be everybody was underneath me, so therefore there's nobody who is any greater than anybody else. You're all underneath me, so it doesn't really matter who you are, what you are. I'm greater than all of you. So it was actually written this way, according to how we understand the commentary. It was written in this regard to sort of speak so that we could extrapolate from it exactly what Ahasuerus' intent was. Meaning Malbims pulling it out from the way that it was written as to what happened during that time. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that make sense? Like what came first? The events that happened came before the writing down of what happened.
Right.
This was just this was their way of trying to take all the events that happened and put them on paper. Again, keeping in mind, this was written during the days of Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus, everything probably went through his kingdom and he read everything. So they had to be very careful what they wrote down. Ahasuerus saw all of this. So it couldn't be that they presented him as this, power, heart-hungry ruler. I don't think it would have flown with him, It wouldn't have jived. But by kind of giving it in a hidden way, oh yeah, he makes this party and he invites all these people. Okay, yeah, I did. That's right. It seems pretty tame. And the truth is, I think most of us don't have that much of an opinion about Ahasuerus one way or another, right? We read the text, and the bad guy is Haman, right? Ahasuerus is just like, the kind of dumb guy who hands over the ring. It doesn't seem like he really has that much of a say. But the truth is, we're getting a very different picture now of Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus was not some, dumb guy who just was drunk all day and handed over the ring. He was just very focused on one thing and one thing only. And so therefore, it didn't matter to him if you wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Go ahead, do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm the ruler. I'll do whatever I want. And that's what he wanted. That's what it was all about. So he was actually a really awful person who was selfish and totally self-centered and power-hungry. And I think that's what we're getting more and more out of it. But of course, Esther and Mordecai writing it down during those days couldn't say that explicitly. We have to kind of get it out of the puzzle, right?
And everybody who were those officials who were mentioned last, they got the message probably very
right.
fast.
And I'm sure exactly. He was really trying to put them in their place. You are nothing compared to me,
and
right?
How did he give them that message?
By putting everything was like order of the king, and by putting them before usually, and again, he's going to kind of get a little bit into Persian etiquette. Persian etiquette was very, very based on, serve the elders first, and the elders drink before everybody else. He wanted to equate everybody with everybody else, and he wanted to throw etiquette out the door because I want to show that nobody's greater than anybody else. I'm just greater than all of you. So you're all equal in my eyes because as long as I'm the great one, you're all equal to me. And that's really the purpose of his party. And as if we get into a little bit today, which I'm hoping with a few minutes that we have remaining, I'll show you, or Malbim will show us how everything that happened with the party was really for the purposes of showing, I want unlimited monarchy, and I'm going to essentially equate and equalize all of you. Nobody's greater than anybody else. There happened to be some people that Ahasuerus turns to for advice. These were like his chamberlains, so to speak, the people who served him more intimately, more personally, and therefore were closer to him, and he asked them for advice at various moments in time. But it doesn't mean that he gave them positions necessarily of power. And even when he does give Haman power, there's a whole context by which he does it. I have to figure out which pieces of Malbim I'm going to do, because we're not going to do a whole long series on Malbim on Megillah, but on Esther. But I definitely wanted to at least give you an intro to some things. Maybe I'll pull out from different parts. If you have anything in particular you'd like to look at next, let me know. But I wanted to at least paint a picture of Achashverosh, because I think this is phenomenal. I think this is not something you get out of just reading the text itself. Okay. Alright. Kibertzonam, we just read that part. Of course I took my finger off the place, and so now I don't know where we are.
With Dalet? No?
Yeah. Did we finish there? We didn't finish just yet. Okay. So, okay. So he's trying to show that he took it over by his own accord. So again, and as we kind of just said outside, was by putting his own officers and his own officials first, he was showing that all the people that had any types of leadership positions beforehand were unimportant. Again, it adds this extra word of lifanav, before him, because they weren't really very important in front of him. You weren't, in my eyes, you're nothing. So Malbim looks at the word lifanav not as before him, but as the people who preceded him, people who had positions of leadership that preceded his own. He sought to get rid of those leadership positions. Lefnei kivshos, meaning before he actually had conquered them. He was again putting them in their place, lowering them to the point that they were just as equal as everybody else, if not less than the people that he himself appointed to serve him. Putting it back in the pasuk, it says Bishnas Shalosh Lamalcho. At the third year of his reign, again, his whole plot being to get myself absolute leadership, absolute kingship. So at the third year, he devised a plan. How am I going to get my own unique, unlimited monarchy? Asa mishteh. I'm going to make a party for all sarav v'avadav, for his servants and his officers. Cheil paras umadai, of the soldiers of Persia and Media. Hapartamim v'sarei hamedinos lifanav. But the governors and the officials of the provinces, those came before me. Not really so interested in them, right? Lifanav being those that came before, not the ones that are necessarily in front of me. Okay, so Daled Beharoso, when he displayed. So again, we've already established the fact that he's looking for, that he at first was a king of a bounded king, again, a limited monarch. Again, we're looking at the fact that he does have a limited monarchy, and he's seeking to put himself in an unlimited monarchy position. All of the wealth that was in the national treasuries was not exclusively his own. Rather, it belonged to the nation and to the kingdom. He could not display them as his own wealth. In order to establish himself in an unlimited monarchy, he had to show that he had unlimited wealth, right? That he had to show that this was his own power, his own wealth that got him there. And he therefore wanted to show all these many nations that he wanted to flaunt the wealth, so to speak, as a person would show off his own possessions. And that's what meaning to say that he wanted to show the wealth that was due kavod malchuso in honor of due to the honor of his own kingdom, meaning the kingdom that I'd like to have, which is unlimited. An unlimited monarch has unlimited funds. It doesn't belong to you; it belongs to me. The money that's in the kingdom is not the kingdom's money, and belongs to the nation, the people. It's my money, and I'll do whatever I want with it. And that's why it says es osher kavod malchuso. Again, as it translated here, the riches of his glorious kingdom. Again, the focus being his, the kingdom, the kingship that he wanted to have, unlimited. Ke'ilu ha'osher hazelo shel hamadina hu rak omed lechvod lo al sha'alidei hitzliach kol melucha. That, meaning to say that this wealth was not, it all belonged to him, and it was not through his accession to the kingship, to the kingdom. Vaya'an shelecho malach tzarich sheyelo osher. Certainly every king has to have wealth. But such a powerful king of unlimited monarchy has to have an unlimited checkbook, right? He has to have unlimited funds. And that's why it adds this extra depiction, this extra description of the honor of his great splendor. That's the English translation. And in order to show such wealth, it's not one day feast, it's not even 2 days feast, but rather many days. Until it reached 180 days. That through doing this, it would reveal that he ruled, it would show all the people that he ruled over all the treasuries, and that they were all in his hands to do with as he pleased. And that's also, again, why it doesn't just say 180 days, but it means Yamim Rabim, meaning there's no end to the amount of days that I can show you my wealth, because I'm looking for unlimited monarchy. And something that we're going to see, and this isn't something that Malbim necessarily says straight out, but something that I kind of picked up on, is all that he does and everything, every detail within the planning of his party shows a certain sense of without limits, that his goal was unlimited monarchy. And so first and foremost it says, right, he wants to show Osher Kavod Malchuso, again, like we mentioned, that the wealth of his kingdom that was commensurate with unlimited monarchy. So again, all the focus on his great wealth, his power. Yamim Rabim. What kind of cap can you put on how much wealth you could show off? There isn't. It's just many, 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 many days of showing how wealthy I am. Shmonim Umias Yom, until it reached, so yes, I guess a certain end point, until it reached 180 days. I feel bad. I should probably stop here. But we didn't quite finish the whole thing. I'd like to finish this part, and then I actually attached also about Vashti. I'd like to finish that part also for next time. So hopefully we'll get through that too. And you'll see what happens with Vashti is absolutely fascinating. And when you see how the way the Malbim pulled it out of the text about how he asked her to come down to Keser Malchus, to come down with the crown and what that means, and when she was supposed to put on the crown, it's just fantastic and just really an incredible insight into the Megillah. So hope you'll come back for next week. We'll do, I guess we'll do it until Purim.